This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Views expressed on the following program are not the everyday average run-of-the-mill comments that you'll hear on other radio shows on this station. The host of this show does not preach to the choir. It's the African-American Scene, presented by Howard Insurance and hosted by Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Always glad to be with you here on a Wednesday night. Well, I got two controversial topics for you tonight. Bill Cosby got released. That was one that kind of popped up.
That was a surprise. I heard it coming in. Tom Sullivan was talking about it. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I promised you last week that we were going to get into critical race theory, and we are. But I have to tell you, Cosby is really a very difficult, emotional subject for me to talk about because he's from Philly, my home state, city of birth. And I'd like to think that he did some pretty good things overall, but I can't justify his bad behavior. And a good friend of mine from college, she gave me a stern lecture today on Facebook.
Oh, no.
About Cosby. And all I could do was just say, yes, you're right. And sure, basically her point was, I don't care what he did to those women was wrong. And listen, if you guys have listened to me for any length of time, you know I'm a guy that supports women. So I have to say, no matter how difficult it is for me, that, she's right. What he did was wrong. And it took me a while to accept the fact that he did it, but there's no doubt in my mind that he did it. But he's out now, so we'll see what happens.
Well, guys just can't do that anymore.
No, you can't.
This is a different world now.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
And what he did was wrong. I mean, listen, I'm not going to make any excuses for him. What he did was wrong. If you have an opinion about it, the number is 340-1590. That's 340-1590. Now, let me get into this critical race theory thing. This is the biggest ruse of anything I've seen in years. The critical race theory has been around for like 40 years. Most of the people who are complaining about critical race theory don't even understand what it is, what its origins were, and why it is a topic for discussion. Most of you don't even know. You're just told that it's bad and that it bashes white people, and that is not the case of what the critical race theory is all about. And I'm going to educate you on what it is and why it came about. And we got Winnie on line one. Yes, Winnie.
How you doing? How y'all doing over there?
Yes, Winnie.
How you feel about the 22 and a half years? Notice that the bill about the guideline.
Huh?
The guideline. How you feel about the 22 and a half years about David Shoulder?
Oh. I think that's probably pretty close to right because he had no past criminal history.
No.
And to give him more time, you would have to be able to prove that his intention was to kill George Floyd, and I don't know how you could prove that. So while some people are not happy with it, I think it's probably about right. If they'd have said 10 years or 12 years, I think that would have been wrong. But I think the 22 and a half years is about right.
I know the family said they want the max. They want the max 30 or 50, 40 years.
Well, so would I.
Years.
Wouldn't you, if that was your family? You'd want the max too.
Yeah, uh-huh. You're right about that. Yeah, Bill Cosby, he got out there. That's good. He way up in the age, way up there.
83. I think he's 80.
All right, take care.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right,
Bye-bye.
Winnie. Yeah. Cosby's 83. So,
Must not be easy for an 83-year-old man in prison these days,
no.
especially on those types of crimes, because, well, prisoners don't like other prisoners that are in there for charges like that.
No, but they probably left him alone because of who he is, and they probably had him in some protective custody, I would imagine. But in any event, so anyway, let's talk about what is critical race theory. I bet you half of you listening don't even know what it is. But first of all, let me tell you why critical race theory has become a subject. Critical race theory is nothing but a straw man. Let me tell you why it's a straw man. They need to find something else to rile you up and to make you feel some allegiance to the Republican Party. Half of the things they told you are going away. They told you the government was the problem and not the solution. Well, now we know that's a lie, because with COVID, if there was no government, some people would be out on the street. Some people would have lost their home. Some people would have had nothing to eat. So the government played an important role in trying to keep America up and running. So now we know that lie doesn't work anymore. The second lie that you've been told and you've sworn allegiance to is that trickle-down economics is the way to save the economy. Almost every major economist in the country now has told you that's a lie. That doesn't work. It is a great theory that just has never, ever worked. So now, where are we at? So your anti-government situation blew up on you because the government came to the rescue, spent millions of dollars to get vaccinations out to help you from being sick. The trickle-down economics theory is a complete bust. So the question is, how do I continue to get some allegiance from conservatives when I have nothing to offer? Because I'd like for you to tell. Now you wait. I want you to call me up and tell me I'm wrong, that they got something to offer for you. Because last time I checked, if you join a club or you join an organization, there's some kind of benefit that comes to you from being a member of the club or the organization. And I don't see the benefit that you're getting for being conservative. I see absolutely zero benefit. So what they're doing now is they have to find a way to keep you riled up so that you can feel some allegiance to the Republican Party. And many of you are very concerned, as I've often talked about, the browning of America, which is a major concern. But we have Charlie on line one. Yes, sir.
How are you? I'm listening to your show. Critical race theory basically says that people are born racist, particularly white people.
Does not say
Is
that.
that correct?
No, that does
yes,
not
it
say
does.
that. It does not say that.
Right.
Would you like for me to tell you what it says?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Okay. Critical race theory is an academic creation that says that American society has systematic racial problems that have been endemic to the development of this country. Doesn't say anything about particularly white folks. They're saying that there is systematic problems that exist, and it is actually an academic theory is being taught for more than 40 years. But like I said, I call it a straw man because all these years that it's been taught, and now it's all of a sudden come up because it is a perfect instrument to help fuel your discomfort with where we are as America.
Well, let me ask you this, sir. I'm sure you have a college education, correct?
Correct.
I mean, okay. I went to Stony Brook State University in New York.
Familiar with it?
Okay. Oh, good. And I taught school. I'm actually a teacher, among other many things.
Okay.
I was brought up by a World War II person that worked for Eisenhower.
Okay.
So he was an officer. He brought me up. He was born in Brooklyn, Spanish household, did not speak with a Spanish accent, didn't speak with a New York accent, Brooklyn accent. I wasn't brought up racist, and I've been white all my life.
Okay.
And I also went to college like you, and I was never taught that America has systemic, which means it's ingrained, racism. I served in the military. I've talked to you before. 3 years, Vietnam. I had a black sergeant, black top sergeant. We all loved each other. We were brothers. Matter of fact, I'm seeing them in October for a reunion. 101st Airborne. All the way, brother. I think that you defend black people, and that's cool. That's cool. But I defend Americans.
Well, listen.
In America. Okay?
Listen, I'm not anti-American, mind you.
No, I know you're not. But
Okay.
I think you're very supportive of the blacks, and that's cool. That is so cool for you. I'm supportive of all Americans, regardless of color. I like to see what they bring to the table, like Martin Luther King said.
Well,
What is the cut of their jib, so to speak?
Well,
I
let
don't
me
care
just
whether
say
it's
this, Charlie.
black, yellow, red. Go ahead.
Okay, let me just say
Go
this,
ahead.
Charlie.
Yep.
I have a good white friend who helped save my business when I was going through a very difficult time.
Cool.
He loaned me money, and I think very highly of him. So I'm certainly not anti-white, but let me just say this to
I
you.
know that. I know that.
From reading and studying, there are issues that have been injurious to black people and have prevented black people from building wealth. Let me give you a first example, one that you should be highly aware of. When the GI Bill was granted, that was one of the things that helped to lift many of the GIs into the middle class because it allowed them an opportunity to buy property. Black people were not allowed to take advantage of that. Did you know that?
That's wrong. That's wrong. I have black friends too that have. I'm a veteran, 101st Airborne. Napalm dropped on me, and I lived. And I have black friends. I'll be seeing them in October, and I'll ask
them, Charlie.
By the way,
when you see them, all I want you to do is ask them whether or not they were able. I can tell you one town in particular, because I lived in New York. There was a prohibition in Levittown, Long Island, that black people could not live there.
Yeah, I was born in Mineola, dude. I grew up in Carl Place.
Okay, then you know I just told you the truth. Now that might be hard for you to accept. Huh?
Let me tell you, brother. I remember, the sit-in at Woolworth and everything, but we have moved on, brother. There was a Freedom Center in Huntington, Long Island when I was a kid that burned down in high school. Okay? We had black friends. We never talked about religion or color or anything. We had friends.
But if you don't
And
talk about it, Charlie, if you don't talk about it, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
But how it's harping on it. It's harping on it.
No, it's not harping on it. It's about education. If I educate you on problems that have been endemic to me as your brother, I want you to care enough about me as your fellow American to help me solve some of these problems. Now let me give you one more thing. Wait. Just hear me out, and you can say anything you want, but I'm going to give you another thing. There's a book called The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. Richard Rothstein is a white gentleman that studied housing all across the United States. Do you know that most housing developments in the 70s did not allow black people to live in their development? Did you know that?
That was the 70s, 50 years ago, dude. We've moved on. That's
I'm
saying.
But Charlie, what I'm trying to tell you is, if in the 70s I was not able to buy a house like in Levittown when those houses were going for $14,000-$15,000, and then people turned around and sold them for $250,000 or $300,000, I lost out on wealth building. Huh?
I understand that, sir. I understand, and I feel for you. I really do.
Okay, well that's the whole point. People are trying to get people to understand there's no animosity. It's about you understanding the impact of these kinds of systems on people of color. That's all.
No, I understand, but to keep talking about it constantly as opposed to, hey, man, we have moved on, let's work together as a team, as opposed to beating it, because all it does is upset a bunch of people that aren't racist. I wasn't brought up racist. Period.
But why would that upset you?
Because I think it's teaching young people that, oh man, color is a big deal. And color shouldn't be. We should be colorblind, man. You know that.
There is no such
I don't
thing.
look at you as a black man or a white man or whatever. I look at you as a man. And that's the truth, brother.
No, it's not.
I know. You don't believe me. You actually don't believe me.
No, I don't believe that.
Like
you know why I don't believe that?
I'm glad you don't, because you know what? That is a little bit of racist as well.
No.
I had a brother come. There was a brother that came from Chicago. Okay, this is during the Tet Offensive, 1968. He was racist, man. He hated white people. Sergeant McManus, Buck Sergeant, black. I was blacker than him, by the way, because of the sun. He pulled him aside and said, you see those white dudes over there? They can save your butt or not. We're all in it together. And he pulled through. And it's not because he got cowed. He realized you could die real quick. You can die in Chicago, dude. There's a lot of action going on.
Well, I don't understand.
We need law and order. We need law and order.
Well, do you think that I don't believe in law and order?
You don't? No, I know you do.
Okay.
We all need law and order. Okay? There's more black-on-black shootings than cops walking around shooting blacks. That's a fallacy. That guy that leaned on that guy's neck, he's a murderer. I'm glad he got convicted. They worked together and as bouncers, and I think that the black guy was his boss, and he had it in for him, obviously.
Okay.
Right?
Well,
you can believe that I wasn't brought up racist, and God love you, dude. I got to go. Thank
okay.
you. I'll continue to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Listen, guys.
That's a good call, believe it or not.
Yeah, it is.
It is, because you see, the conversation is moving forward now, and that's all that we try to do here on the African American scene. Situation like this needs to be discussed. And Rudy opened up the show discussing what critical race theory is, and him talking about it might shed some light on some facts about it that you don't know, And no, he's not harping because, well, we're not turning up the signal loud enough. We could harp and go around with speakers on our cars and talk into microphones and stuff. That's harping. But we're just calling your attention to a situation that a lot of people are wondering about.
Well,
what is?
It is. The reason why I wanted to bring it up this week is because there's so much misinformation about what critical race theory is. And it's nothing, it's an academic theory, really, developed almost 40 years ago. And it has just been pulled out of the closet. I'm telling you why it's been pulled out of the closet. Now, you as a conservative may disagree with this. They need something else to rile you up, and everything else that they've used, now there's nothing else left. They told you the government was the enemy. You know that's not true anymore. They told you that trickle-down economics was the key to our financial success. You know that's not true anymore, and I just said that a few minutes ago. So now you know those things aren't true anymore. In the last Republican convention, they didn't even have a platform. There was no platform and no policy. Yet you pledge your allegiance to this party that offers you no platform and no policy. And so I'm wondering what it is you're pledging your allegiance to. You're pledging your allegiance to them because they have now told you that black people are proposing a theory that is anti-white. Come on, gee whiz, that's just silly.
Here's a question. Are white people promoting this critical race theory more than black people?
Yes, they are. This
now, what's that say?
I have done some extensive research on this, and most of the people that I have been able to uncover, especially on various videos, people learned about this in law school, and some people learned about it in college and graduate school. It's largely been an academic theory that challenges people to think about the systematic issues associated with people of color. Just like I said about the housing situation. And one of the reasons why that's very important is because, as we all know in America, housing is wealth building.
Yeah.
Is there any doubt about that? I mean, housing is how you build wealth.
You can flip houses and fix them up and sell them easy, 2 or 3 at a time these days.
Yes. So if you're not able to, now watch this. Here's the double whammy. And this is why I'm talking about this. Here's the double whammy. Now, not only could, and Richard Rothstein goes into this in great detail about how communities, some banks would not even give a loan to a developer unless they made a pledge not to allow people of color to live in that development. I don't know, about 6 months ago, there was a couple on TV I was so proud of. They looked through their homeowners' documents and found that the documents for their homeowner association, now this just happened within the last 6-7 months, had an anti-black provision in it. Well, that was pretty common. Now, let me talk about why that's important. You lose the opportunity for wealth building, but you may have also cheated somebody out of an opportunity for their kids to get a better education by going to a better school. So there's a double whammy there. They didn't get a chance to build wealth by getting a house that would appreciate because they were redlining at that time, and you could only get a house in a certain area. And most of those areas had kind of depressed values, okay? And so what's the point of me telling you this? See, Charlie says, why do you have to keep telling me this? Because all it does is create animosity. I'm not trying to create animosity. I'm trying to wake you the hell up. And I'm trying to get you to feel some allegiance to help me and people of color to receive justice. I ain't asking you for nothing. I don't want nothing from you. All I want is an opportunity the same as you. And that's all of us want, to be honest with you. And critical race theory is nothing but explaining to you the systematic nature in how this has oppressed people of color in the system. Some of it I don't even think was intentional, but it nonetheless existed. And Charlie, yes, sir.
Yeah, by the way, I owned a home in North River Shores.
Okay.
But and also I spit in a bottle for Ancestry, and I also checked it with another outfit. I am part Nigerian.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
that means I'm black. But also, it's true, and I had my grandmother had a black brother, an attorney from Puerto Rico. I'm half Puerto Rican, which is an island, by the way. And by the way, Mr. Howard, a theory, as you know, as a college graduate, is in fact, it's a theory.
Like
Correct.
like evolution, yes. Uh-huh.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, a theory is not fact. So to teach a theory and to have people really get into this, that, America was built on the backs of slaves and we're all racist, etc., I think tears us down. We all know that. That's
It's
sort of
not
when Mr.
saying
Trump,
but it's not saying that.
Well, like when Mr. Trump harps about the cheating and this and that, as a professional sales trainer, I scream, move on, move on. We all know that there was some crap going on. You'd have to be stupid not to realize that.
Oh,
I'm
you
not
think there was
saying that-
cheating? You think there was cheating?
I think there was. I think that, maybe not enough to sway anything, Mr. Howard. Biden's our president. And by the way, I went to see a doctor the other day, cancer doctor for skin, and he is a liberal. And he loves Hillary and Mr. Biden. And I said, as a doctor, he's a trained doctor. I mean, he's got more education than you and I combined. I said, you have buyer's remorse? He said, that's an interesting question, Charlie. So I said, well, after you do what you do, and he was cutting on me. I said, I'd like to have an answer. So as he was sewing me up, Mr. Howard, I said his name, and I said, do you have an answer? You know what he said, Mr. Howard? I wish he was sharper.
He wishes Biden was sharper?
Sharper, more sharper. In other words, more cogent, more together. You know the thing, right? You know the thing. Come on, man.
So
My mother had
I'm not
dementia.
sure.
My mother had dementia. Excuse me, Mr. Howard. My mother had dementia. It's horrible. And then into Alzheimer's.
So
Dr.
now,
Joe
are you
Biden-
trying to say that Biden has dementia?
I believe he does, and I'm not a doctor. But I got eyes. Come on, man. I feel for him. I feel for America.
Sir, you're just
And-
you're
Well, that's my.
yeah, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm going to say this, and this is my opinion. You are wedded to the Trump train, and you're spouting all of the talking points that I've heard for the last 6 months.
Train. I'm on America's train, dude, Mr. Howard. I'm on America's train. When Obama was president, I didn't like it, but I supported him. He's my president. At least he had a brain that worked. I disagreed with what it was doing. Okay? And Mr. Biden is not making the decisions. I think you know that.
So what is it about Trump that you thought that he had a brain that was working?
Well, I think that he is common sense. You may disagree with how he, it's dangerous sales, Mr. Howard. I would be screaming at the television, please, please. But everything he was doing, most people agreed with. Okay?
No, Charlie. Most people didn't agree because he lost by 8 million votes, which says that most people didn't agree with him.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, you win. You win. Okay?
Okay.
God love you. God love you.
Thank you. All right. So, I mean, most people didn't agree with him. I mean, the end result says that very clearly. But anyway, so the point, and I read another book. I'm not trying to be a name dropper, but I'm just telling you that these are some of the things that I do to try to make myself educated and understanding of the issues. I read a book called Caste. That's C-A-S-T-E by Isabel Wilkerson. And what she does is examine the American culture and compares it to the Indian caste system. And she does it point by point. And it's pretty interesting. We in America often try to avoid negative terms that could portray us in a negative light, when in fact some things actually fit. So, again, the point here about critical race theory is for people to understand the impact of systematic racism on society as a whole. And here's the thing that I want you to really get that's important to me. I might be black, but I'm your American brother. You should want me to be successful, because if I'm successful, that success also flows over to you. And then we're all successful together. I don't wish any ill will or lack of success for anybody. I want everybody to be successful. I want everybody to vote. I don't know why you don't want me to vote, because I want everybody to vote. I think every American in the United States should automatically be registered to vote. Automatic. Just like selective service when we were kids.
If there's no such thing as critical race theory, then why do your callers always want to shut you up?
Well, I hit a nerve. See, here's the thing, and Charlie is the perfect example of it. The predominant thinking is, if we never talk about this,
It never happened.
It'll go away.
Yeah.
Okay? It will just go right on away. Nobody will think about it anymore, and it will not be a thing. Well, you know what, though? And I said this before a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to say it again today. And that number again is 340-1590. 340-1590. If you look back on the summer, when all the Black Lives Matter marches were going on, those marches kept getting whiter and whiter as the summer went on. And what it was is that some of my white brothers and sisters got it. They were like, this is not fair. This is not right. And we are going to participate in trying to help change the mode of how things are being done, which is the same thing that happened in the civil rights movement, which turned the civil rights movement around. My white brothers and sisters got off the couch and said, that's not right. We have to see about trying to participate to see if we can't make a change. And listen, all we can do, if we educate you, this is where I am at, different from Charlie. Charlie says leave it alone. What I want to say is, I want to talk to you. I want to prick your conscience. I want to make you think. And if I can make you think and you can't come up with a reason why you feel the way you feel, then it's time to rethink it. It's one of the great lessons I learned as a freshman from my philosophy professor. And he said this to me, and I think I've said this to you before, so please forgive me if you've heard me say this before. my philosophy teacher said, if you want to consider yourself a thinker, if you have a position and you can't defend it, then you have to rethink it. If you can't defend it, you have to rethink it, or else you're not a thinker. Because a thinker has to go back now and re-examine what it is that he or she believes in if they're making a statement they can't defend.
Well, let's make it spirit and truth right now then, because you know we're listening to folks that don't want to hear the story, thinking that it'll go away if it doesn't, and here we are in this predicament. How do we get out of this? This is we're kind of at a catch-22 because you've got folks that are just absolutely offended because you'll even talk about this because they want to forget about it and dust it under the rug, make it go away. You know, but you got to consider some of the truth in all of this. We were created with one mouth and two ears. Shouldn't we listen twice as much as we spout off?
I think so, but you know what makes this different? This particular moment in time different than any other that I can remember is people are willing to deny facts.
Yeah.
People are willing to accept conspiracy theories. Charlie is of the opinion that there's a question about whether or not he accepts the fact that Biden's the president, but he has questions in his mind of whether Biden is the legitimate president or not. Based on what? Now, this is one of those things, and this is why we are stuck in this mode that we can't get out of. There was 60, I want you to hear this again. There was 60 court cases, 60 times they went to court trying to get the judges to throw out voting results. All 60 cases were lost. They lost all 60 cases. 60 cases lost. Now, if you lost 60 cases where you alleging there was voter fraud, then where's the voter fraud? Sidney Powell, who was an attorney who said there was voter fraud, when she got sued by the voting machine manufacturer, she said, I don't know why you would believe those things I said because they were ridiculous, but got all of you to buy in. So we got some people calling up that are angry, or?
No, it's just Charlie wants to call in and argue some more. Why didn't he stay on the line before? Yeah. You know, should have stayed on the line before and continue with the conversation instead of duck and run.
Yeah.
And then try to call back and hit and run. We don't do that around here.
So we got 60 cases that people said there's no voter fraud. But still you want to accept the fact that there was voter fraud. Even Barr now has admitted there was no voter fraud. But yet we still want to believe that there was voter fraud. Now, I don't know how we can come to any kind of resolution that Charlie wants me to say. Charlie said, if we just don't talk about this anymore, there will be peace and everything will be well. How can we be peace and everything be well when we can't even accept truth? Truth is something we can't accept. And it's very, very difficult to come to an agreement on anything unless you can agree on a basic set of facts. That's part of every negotiation. I did at one point in my life, I was doing big level bodily injury negotiations for a company. And when I sat down with a judge or with another attorney to negotiate, one of the things you first had to do was you agree on a set of facts. Now, before we got to the damages, so if we could agree on a set of facts, creating an understanding or negotiating the damages was the easy part once the facts were accepted. But if you can't agree on a set of facts, then it is very difficult to come up with a resolution for a problem. But all problems can be resolved when you can agree upon a certain set of facts. And what we have now is we can't agree. So if you're upset with critical race theory, don't be upset. Try to understand what it means. Understand the impact that it has had on your brothers and sisters of color in this country. If you understand that, then there's no reason to be upset about it. It just means that you understand it, and it's not an indictment of you. Some of the things you couldn't have possibly participated in, but you can help make them better by understanding the impact they have on other people. That's all. Just understand. If you understand, then when you're sitting down and you're having a discussion with somebody, you can have a meaningful discussion because you'll be equipped with the information that will allow you to understand. Now, I'm going to get back to one other thing here I've been talking to you about in the beginning. When you belong to a club, an organization, a country club, anything, there usually is some benefits associated with being a membership of that club. So I'm asking you, as a conservative, can you tell me what benefits you are deriving from being a conservative? I can't think of any right now. Maybe you can tell me and help me understand what you're deriving from your membership as a member of the Republican Party. Please educate me. I want to know what it is that you are getting out of being a member of the Republican Party. Your membership is declining. Your membership is declining. So I'm trying to figure out. Just tell me what it is. What are you personally benefiting from for being a member of the Republican Party? I can certainly answer that question in reverse. I can clearly tell you what benefits I am deriving as a member of the Democratic Party. I could give you a list as long as my arm just about. But I'm interested in finding out from you. What is it that you are getting from being a member of the Republican Party? Now, if you're sitting back in your chair and saying, which some of you are, I can see some of you right now, you just sat back in your chair and went,
We're paying our taxes so that everybody can still collect unemployment forever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So, if you sat back and said, I'm not sure, then you really need to rethink that. You need to rethink that. How are you personally benefiting from being a Republican? What is it? What is it? What uplifting thing is happening for you as a member of the Republican Party? I don't know. I can tell you, for me, I'll just give you one thing. Easy one right now. President Biden extended the enrollment period for health insurance till August. So all the people that need health insurance out there who had like 6 weeks to enroll, he's given them a longer time to enroll. And I think that's great. I think it's great that my American brothers and sisters have an additional opportunity to enroll to get health care for especially what they have just gone through with the COVID. I think that's pretty cool. Now, maybe you're a Republican and you don't like the fact that people have additional time to enroll to get health care. Certainly, it's your right to not like that. And he also reduced some of the costs associated with getting marketplace insurance. How about that? So that's just one thing. I could go on. I would be satisfied if you give me one thing. 340-1590. Give me one thing that you personally are able to get from being a member of the Republican Party. I'd love to hear it. 340-1590. Just tell me what you're getting. How has it helped your life be better being a member of the Republican Party? How has that helped your life be better?
Did it help you get a mortgage loan? Did it?
Yeah.
Did it raise the rate of the money that you hold in the banks for interest? Has the interest rates going up for you?
No, because it helped the rich people, but didn't help the average guy. Didn't help them. So that's why. Hey, listen, I've thought about this question a lot, and I couldn't wait to get here tonight so that somebody could tell me, call up and say, I get this and I get that and I get this and I get that, because I can match you thing for thing about what I get. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about opportunities that are being created for people in this country by members of the Democratic Party. That's just what I'm saying. So, but listen, again, 340-1590. We don't have much time left, but I would love to hear what it is that you think you're getting. Now, and again, if you had to sit back in your chair when I ask you that, and you just went to yourself, I don't know that I can answer that question, then you need to ask yourself, why am I a member of the Republican Party, other than the fact that it's become a status symbol? It's become a status symbol more than anything. But tell me why. And
the only person that really needs to hear why is you.
Yeah.
When you ask.
Tell me what you get. I want to know. Please, deliver me. Help me understand. Bring me to your side. Maybe you can convert me by telling me all of the things that how my life would be better by joining the Republican Party. I'd like to hear that.
Well,
we have
constitutional freedom of speech?
Yeah,
that's and everybody's got a right to their opinions.
Sure.
And those who would say let's hush him up, let's hush up Rudy here. Well, that's not exercising your constitutional right. Well, your responsibility to protect the Constitution.
Oh, listen, there's no doubt there's some people out there right now that's fire red mad at me for having this dialogue. Yeah. But instead of being fire red mad at me, what they need to be doing is thinking very carefully about the commitment that they're making to the Republican Party, the Republican conservatives that you're pledging to tried to take our democracy. And it came a lot closer than most people care to admit. And I think one day when it all comes out, you're going to really find out how close we were to losing our democracy. Is that something you, as a Republican, would like to see us lose our democracy in favor of our autocracy? Do you think that we'd be better off with a Trump autocracy than a democracy? Interesting. Can you actually say that? After since 1776, when we created our Constitution, are you saying that all of these years of what we've done, you're ready to throw in the trash because the person that you wanted to win couldn't win, so we'll throw out the entire democratic process? Is that where you are? Are you okay with that? Well, let me just say this to you. I am a hardcore Obama supporter. He's not perfect, but I'm a hardcore Obama supporter because of his intellect and his thought process. But if he tried to do that, I'd turn on him like a snake. If he tried to pull that, there's no way I would stand behind him if Obama's move was to try to create an autocracy so he could stay in power. He would not get the support of Rudy Howard. That's out of the question. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He would not get my support. So just so you know, I'm clear on both sides of this issue. It wouldn't happen by me if it was my party that did that. It's not okay. So I guess I've talked and talked here today, and I hope. I not only do I hope, I know some of you. When I cut this show off tonight, you're going to think about some of the things that I've said, and I hope you do. And I hope you come up with some answers for why it is that you feel the way you do. And if you can't come up with some answers, I'm going to tell you, like my philosophy teacher told me, if you can't support your thought process, then it's time for you to rethink it.
And you know, I learned a long time ago there are two kinds of people in this world, and most of them are one or the other. There are leaders and there are followers. And you got to try to be a leader, but you have to be a follower to become a leader.
Amen.
So just open your ears and think.
Yes.
That's what we challenge you to do. We challenge you to think.
I wanted you to understand critical race theory is an academic philosophy. That is it. It is not a theory designed to bash white people and say how bad white people are. It is a theory that examines systems of oppression that exist within this society and how they have affected people. That's what critical race theory is. So I hope you now understand what it is, because it's been so much stuff out there that has been untrue about what it is. But I'd like to thank you so much for listening to the African American Scene. God bless and be safe. And I will see you right here next Wednesday for the African American Scene.
The African American Scene with Rudy Howard from Howard Insurance in Port St. Lucie. The African American Scene is on every Wednesday night in the 6 o'clock hour with archives on YouTube. This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.